Ready? Now we are learning let's go first of all, the mitzvahs that are in this week. Here I found the mitzvahs and I even put them up. Here we go, let's do this here. Here are the mitzvahs. Here are the mitzvahs in this week's Parshat. See it? Here they are. Here they are, all the commandments in this week's Parshat. Actually, I found another one in this book, Mitzvahs Hashem. So this week's Torah portion, as I told you before, has in it 38 commandments. 38 commandments. 11 positive commandments and 27 prohibitions. Let's go through them quickly just to see what they are so that you know what to look for. Some of them are interesting commandments, like to pick a king is one of them. And here, let's go. It's a mitzvah. First of all, you have to pick judges and policemen in every city in Israel. That's what we're learning in the Sikha in the morning. Do not plant any sort of a tree in the Mikdash grounds, Beis HaMikdash. You cannot make any sort of a statue or icon or whatever, obelisk, whatever they're called. Can't make one to pray down to, matzeva. You can't make sacrifice if it has a blemish on it. Even if it's a temporary blemish, it'll go away. Can't do it. It's a commandment to listen to the Beis Din. It's a commandment to listen to the Sanhedrin if they make a law. Don't go against the Sanhedrin. Nowadays, we don't have a Sanhedrin. Not to, also another, not to, here's a positive commandment, to listen to the Beis Din, and a negative commandment not to defy the Beit Din, the Grand Judicial Court. It's a commandment to pick a king. The Jewish people are supposed to pick a king. Of course, all these commandments have a lot of stipulations, and some of them they're relevant only certain times, and they have to have, not always can it be done, etc. But nevertheless, these are the mitzvahs. To pick a king, you cannot pick a king from the nations. It has to be a Jew. It has to be a Jewish king. You cannot, the king should not take too many horses. A person is not allowed, a Jew is not allowed to live in the land of Egypt, except under really unusual circumstances, but Jews are not supposed to be in Egypt. A king cannot have too many wives. A king is allowed to have 18 wives. Who would want a thing like that? But he can't have more. I guess if we're kings, we would know. The king should not have too much money. Only what he needs. A king should not have, he must write a Sefer Torah for himself. Every tribe of Israel gets a place in the land of Israel, except for the tribe of Levi. Levi does not get an area of Israel. There were 48 cities that were given to him, but it doesn't. When there is a war, Levi does not get a portion in the spoils. There is what's called the matnat kohanim, the matanot, the gifts. The Kohanim, in every sacrifice, the Kohanim get what's called the forearm, the jaw, and the stomach is given to the Kohanim to eat, to do whatever they want. It's a commandment to take truma. Truma is a portion, 1/50th or whatever, 1/100th, anyway, a portion you have to give to the Kohen of all your produce. It's a mitzvah that the Kohanim and the Levim should work in the temple in their proper time. Each family, they had their appropriate time they had to serve. They couldn't just serve when they wanted to. Here are several types of witchcraft. You can't do kosem, koshef, chover chaver, shoal ov, shoal yidoni, dora shel ametim. All these are types of necromancy and sorcery and witchcraft that you're not allowed to do. Some people say this is also relevant to all the non-Jews also. Okay, here we have some hard ones. You must listen to what the prophet says in every generation, including our generation. If there's a person that is a prophet, the Rebbe said about himself that he's a prophet. Previous Rebbe was a prophet. That you have to listen to what they say. It is a positive command, as a negative commandment, a prohibition. Do not prophesize, make prophecy. That's a lie. Don't say, I am a prophet. Listen to what I say. And you're not a prophet. You cannot make prophecy in the name of idolatry, right? I'm speaking in the name of the moon. I'm speaking in the name of the dog. You can't do that. That is idolatry. Do not, a prophecy. You should not, if there is a false prophet, we learned about the false prophet last week. We didn't, but here it says there was a positive commandment to kill him, a false prophet. Here is a prohibition. Do not refrain from killing him. A false prophet. Under the whole essence of the Torah is prophecy, right? The Torah is the prophecy of Moses. So whenever a prophet comes, we have to listen to him. But that's very dangerous because you have a man, a human being, and he says, this is what God says. You have to listen to him. But there are criterion. And if he doesn't keep these criterion, then it's a commandment not only not to listen to him, but also to kill him. I don't know if that's nowadays. I don't think that is now. I mean, nowadays there's no punishment of death and you can't take things into your own hands. But nevertheless, God is dissatisfied with him to the ultimate degree. He regrets that he created him. It's commanded. It's a commandment to prepare 6 cities of refuge. Oh, we learned that in the Sikh also. Not a judge cannot have mercy on a person that has to pay damages. The judge shouldn't say, listen, I'll find him innocent and I'll pay from my own pocket. No. You want to pay from your own pocket? Do it, but find the guy guilty. He's guilty. If he's guilty, Lola hasi gvul, don't take away someone else's property. Don't decide judges' cases according to one witness. There has to be 2 witnesses. 2 witnesses. There are some cases where you can't have one, but generally speaking, there has to be 2 witnesses. Mitzvah to, if there's what's called a, how do you say, zomim, eidim zomimim. Eidim zomimim are people that they testify falsely against someone, and they themselves are found, discovered that they couldn't have been there at the time when they testified. They couldn't, it was obviously false testimony that they're given, and they're proven that they could not have been in that place. There were some witnesses saw them in another place. You have to do to those false witnesses what they wanted to do to the person that they are testifying against. They wanted to have him pay money, they have to pay money. They wanted to kill him, they get killed. When you're a soldier in war, it is a prohibition to be afraid. There's prohibition to be afraid of the enemy. How you're not, I mean, how can you be not afraid? If you're afraid, you're afraid. So it says, remove your mind. Don't think about it. Don't think you're only going to win. Think that Hashem is with you, which is the truth. And don't let any negative thoughts enter your mind, which shows that a person can rule over his heart. A mitzvah, maybe you can't rule over your thoughts, but you can rule over your heart. And as the thoughts come into your mind, just don't accept them. And it's natural to be a thought that you're afraid. Just don't pay attention to the thoughts. Don't allow those thoughts to a very basic principle in life and in Hasidut Chabad especially. Hesech hadat, it's called, removing your mind from negative thoughts. It's a mitzvah to anoint the Kohen, that is the Kohen, the priest, that goes into war with the men. Before the war, he gives a speech to them. It's called the Kohen HaMilchama. Another commandment, to make a optional war. If the Sanhedrin decides you do it, you make an optional war. There's some wars that the king himself can decide on his own. This is of course not a commandment for us, but when they went into the land of Israel, there were the 7 nations there that stood against them to kill everyone, all of them. Nowadays we don't know who those nations are. When you are laying siege to a city in time of war, don't destroy the fruit trees surrounding in order to make battering rams or whatever you want, spears or something. Don't destroy fruit trees. Then there's the commandment of the Egla Arufa, which maybe we'll talk about that. If you find a dead body, a Jewish body laying between 2 cities, and is not sure where it is, so it says they bring out a calf and they break its neck and they say, we didn't do it, we didn't do the crime. And finally, you're supposed to break its neck on this river, and by the river, you're not, by the river where it's broken, you're not allowed to plant or harvest in that place by where this commandment, you do this commandment of breaking the neck of the calf. Okay, Kane, just 1 second. Kane, מה? מחשב נייד, כן.
תודה רבה, נשמור עליו.
All right, those are the positive commandments. Those are the commandments, positive and negative, in this week's Torah portion. 38 altogether. 38 commandments. All right, let's go to the portion of the week. Let's do a little bit, at least.